My name is Raymond. I'm 74 years old, a retired radio host living here in Abilene, deep in the heart of Texas. What I'm about to tell you today is a secret my wife, Linda, kept for 52 years of marriage. A secret so painful she chose to live in the shadows her entire life rather than show me the truth. And when I finally discovered it, I understood that true love goes far beyond what the eye can see. We were together for 52 years, raised 3 kids, welcomed 4 grandkids, built an entire life side by side. But in all that time, my Linda never once let me see her without clothes on. Always in the dark, always with the bathroom door locked, always with her nightgown buttoned up to her chin. I thought it was just modesty, her way of being, the shyness of a traditional, God-fearing woman, and I respected it. Of course I did. After all, love is respect, isn't it? But the truth was something else entirely, a truth so sad and agonizing that she carried it alone since she was a little girl. When I finally found out, my heart broke, not out of anger or disappointment, but from understanding the sheer weight of the suffering she bore in silence. She lived her whole life thinking that if I knew, I'd stop loving her. This story will touch your heart. It'll make you think about what really matters in love, about the pains people hide, and the secrets we carry for fear of being rejected. It all started when I was just a young man working at a local radio station in Abilene. I was a DJ, hosting a country music show, reading live dedications, the kind of things we did back in the day. It was a different time, life was simpler. People met at the town square, at church socials, or county fairs. It was at one of those community dances that I met my Linda. She was 19. She was a beautiful girl with a sweet gaze, but quiet, always tucked away in a corner. While the other girls were laughing loudly and dancing with everyone, she stayed there with her friends, half hidden. She caught my eye immediately. It wasn't just her beauty, it was something in her demeanor, a fragility, a delicacy that made me want to protect her. I walked up and asked her for a dance. She turned bright red but said yes. Her hand trembled in mine. We only danced to one song because she said she was tired, but I was already hooked. I started going to every dance just to see her. She always wore those long-sleeve dresses, even in the Texas heat, which is no joke. She was always covered up to her neck. I found it charming. I thought it was just her being a decent, well-bred girl. And she was. But there was more behind those clothes. We dated for a year. It was an old-fashioned courtship, sitting in the parlor with her mother nearby, talking on the porch, holding hands at the park. I never even saw her bare arms, always long sleeves, always covered. I didn't mind, and I didn't ask. That was just her, I thought. And I loved her for it. When I asked her to marry me, she took a long time to answer. She spent days thinking it over. I didn't understand it then. I figured it was just cold feet. But she was scared. Scared of what would come after the I do. Scared of the honeymoon. Scared that I would find out and walk away. But she finally said yes. It was the happiest day of my life, and I had no idea it was also the day she made the hardest decision of hers. To hide what was under those clothes from me forever. Linda was born and raised in a tiny town in rural Oklahoma, near Enid. It was one of those places where everyone knows everyone's business, where secrets don't last long. But hers did, because it was the kind of secret born of shame, fear, and deep-seated pain. Her mother was a hard-working woman, one of those souls life treated harshly from the start. She'd been widowed young with a small child to raise on her own. She worked as a laundress, a cook, whatever she could find, until she met a man, a drifter with a reputation for drinking and a mean streak, but he promised to take care of them both. Exhausted from the struggle, her mother believed him. Linda told me years later what those days were like. Days of silence, of walking on eggshells, of not making a sound so as not to wake him when he was hungover. Days of watching her mother take hits when the dinner wasn't on time. Days of being afraid, truly afraid, all the time. She was just a little girl, long hair, big eyes, who loved playing with dolls in the yard. But she couldn't play too loudly, she couldn't laugh too much. She couldn't really be a child because her stepfather hated noise, hated kids, hated anything that wasn't whiskey and silence. Her mother tried to protect her as best she could. She'd hide the girl when he came home drunk or send her to a neighbor's house when she saw things were about to get ugly. But she couldn't be everywhere. And there came a day when she couldn't protect her, a day that changed Linda's life forever. Linda was 7 years old when it happened. It was the middle of the week. Her mother had gone down to the creek to wash clothes, leaving the girl at home to do her schoolwork. The stepfather came home early, already agitated, looking for a fight. She didn't even hear him come in, she was focused on writing in her notebook at the kitchen table. He barked at her to fix him lunch. A 7-year-old child. She told him she didn't know how, that her mother hadn't taught her yet. He slammed his fist on the table, screaming that she was useless, lazy, good for nothing. Terrified, she tried. She grabbed a pot of rice and tried to light the gas stove the way she'd seen her mother do. Her little hands were shaking with fear. She managed to make the rice. She couldn't do the beans, but she got the rice done. She put it on a plate and brought it to the table. Her hands shook so much the plate almost slipped, but she managed. She breathed a sigh of relief. She thought she'd done it, that he'd eat and leave her alone until her mom got back. But the rice had no salt. He took one bite and spat it out. He lunged out of his chair, grabbed the plate, and hurled it across the room. The ceramic shattered into 1,000 pieces. He looked at her with that look she knew, the one that came right before her mother got a beating. And she knew this time, it was for her. She begged for forgiveness. She said she'd do it again, she'd add salt, it would be perfect. But he wasn't listening, he only saw red. He grabbed her arm, squeezing hard. She cried out, begging him to let go. He told her he was going to teach her not to be clumsy, a lesson she'd never forget. He went to the stove. A pot of water for coffee was there, water that had just been boiling, steaming hot. He grabbed the pot. Linda saw what he was about to do and tried to run, but he was stronger, faster. He pinned her down, forced her back toward him, and poured the boiling water over her. The pain was so intense she couldn't even scream properly. It was a cry that died in her throat, turning into a whimper, then into blackness. She collapsed. He dropped the empty pot and walked out of the house like nothing had happened. He left her there on the floor with her back raw, her skin literally melting away. Her mother came home to find the scene. The broken plate, the empty pot, and her daughter unconscious in a pool of blood and burned flesh. She screamed for help. Neighbors ran over. They wrapped the girl in a sheet and rushed her to the town clinic. The doctors did what they could, but the burns were severe. 3rd degree, they said. It was going to leave a mark forever. Linda spent 3 months in the hospital, 3 months of agonizing treatments, of screaming in pain, of crying for her mother. 3 months during which her stepfather never once visited, never apologized, never showed a shred of remorse. And her mother, God bless her, didn't have the courage to report him. She was scared. Scared of him, scared of being alone again, scared she couldn't support her daughter. So she pretended it was an accident, and everyone else pretended to believe her. When Linda finally left the hospital, her back was covered in scars, ugly, purple, deep ridges that shouted of violence. They told a story no one wanted to hear. At 7 years old, she already knew this changed everything. She would never be like the other kids. She was marked, different, a monster, as her stepfather called her before he finally left for good after her mother found the strength to kick him out. She grew up that way, hiding. Always in long sleeves, even in the heat. She never went to the swimming hole with her friends, she never took off her shirt in gym class. The other kids thought she was weird, teased her, called her the hermit. And the few times someone caught a glimpse of the scars in the locker room, the word they used was exactly that. Monster. Linda grew up believing it, that she was a monster, that no one would ever want to marry her, that she'd die alone. Until she met me. And then the fear grew even bigger, because she loved me from the start. But she knew that if I found out, I'd leave, just like anyone else would. So she made the decision she carried for 52 years. Never show me. Never let me see. Live in the dark forever if that's what it took to keep me. When I asked Linda to marry me, I was on cloud 9. I was 25, she was 20. I thought everything was going to be perfect. We'd get married at the church, go on a honeymoon, start a family. I was working hard at the radio station, saved up some money, even bought a small starter home on the outskirts of Abilene. Everything was planned out. The wedding was beautiful, simple, but beautiful. Her mother cried through the whole ceremony. At the time, I thought it was just a mother's joy. Now I know it was something else. It was guilt. Guilt for not protecting her daughter. Guilt for letting that man into their lives. Guilt for not having the courage to speak up. Linda's mother carried that weight until the day she died. After the ceremony, we went on a honeymoon to San Antonio. We stayed at a modest but nice inn with a room overlooking the river. I was anxious, happy, in love. It was going to be the first time for both of us. I had respected her through the entire engagement, I didn't push. I waited for marriage the way my father taught me. And now was the moment to know my wife completely, to have that intimacy only a husband and wife share. But when we walked into the room, Linda started shaking. I thought it was just wedding night nerves, the fear of the first time. I moved slowly, tried to be gentle, said sweet things to her. But when I went to hug her from behind, she pulled away quickly. She asked me to wait a moment, said she was going to get ready in the bathroom. She stayed in there for almost an hour. I was starting to worry she'd fallen ill. When she finally came out, she was wearing a nightgown that went down to her ankles and buttoned all the way to her neck. And the lights were off. She had turned off every single light in the room before coming out. "Honey," I said, "why did you turn off the light? I want to see you. You're beautiful." She started to cry. She said she was ashamed, that she couldn't do it, that she needed me to respect this. She said she wanted to be a good wife, but she needed it to be in the dark. She said she was embarrassed by her body, that she wasn't pretty, and that I would be disappointed if I saw her. I tried to argue. I told her she was gorgeous, that I loved her, that she had nothing to be ashamed of, "All right, sweetheart," I told her. "Your way, in your time. When you feel ready, we'll turn on the light. There's no rush." She thanked me and hugged me tight. And that night, our first night as husband and wife, was in total darkness. She didn't even really take off the nightgown, she kept everything covered, only lifting the hem just enough. It seemed strange to me, but I respected it. I figured with time she'd relax, open up, trust me. But time went by, and nothing changed. A week of honeymoon, every night in the dark. We went back to Abilene, moved into our little house, and married life began. I worked at the station, she took care of the house. Everything was normal, everything was fine, except for that. Intimacy was always in the dark, always quick, always with her covered up. I tried to talk to her. "Honey, what's going on? Why don't you trust me?" She'd say she did trust me, that she loved me, but she just couldn't do it. She said she was raised to be modest, that her mother taught her a decent woman doesn't show herself. And I, being young and not knowing a thing about women, believed her. I thought it was just her personality, that it would pass. The bathroom door was always locked. Always. She'd go in, bolt the door, shower, get dressed, and only come out when she was completely covered, morning, night, whenever. I never saw her change clothes, never saw her in a towel, never saw anything beyond her face, hands, and feet. Once, I tried to walk into the bathroom while she was in there. Not to be mean or suspicious, I'd just forgotten my toothbrush. I knocked and asked her to open up just a crack so I could grab it. She screamed. A scream like I'd never heard. No. Don't come in. Wait until I'm out, please. I was in shock. I'd never seen her so desperate. I apologized and said it was fine. When she came out, she was pale and trembling. I asked if she was okay. She said yes, she'd just been startled. Fear of what? I didn't know. But it was there. She got pregnant during our first year. I thought that would change things. I thought pregnancy would make her relax, that she'd need help, let me see her, let me take care of her. But no. She closed up even more. She wore even looser clothes, kept even more covered. She wouldn't even let me into the doctor's office with her. She went alone, came back alone. When our first son was born, I was over the moon, a healthy, beautiful boy. Linda was a wonderful mother from day one, careful, loving, dedicated. But even when breastfeeding, she'd cover herself with a blanket, or lock herself in the room. I thought it was excessive, but I said nothing. I respected her. 2 more kids followed, 3 in total. The house was full, noisy, and happy. I loved my family, I loved my wife, my kids, the life we built. But there was always that mystery, that locked door, that turned off light, that body I never saw. 5 years passed, 10, 20. Eventually, I stopped trying. I'd accepted that this was just how she was, and that love didn't need the lights on. It didn't need a body on display. What mattered was what we felt, not what we saw. Life kept moving, and we grew old together. The boys grew up, became men, got married, and gave me grandkids. The little house I bought when I was young became too small, so we bought a bigger place with a backyard for the grandkids to play in. I retired from the radio after all those years behind the mic. Linda remained the impeccable homemaker she always was. Everything seemed perfect, but that secret was still there between us, like a shadow that wouldn't leave. Over time, I tried other ways. I didn't force it, but every now and then I'd drop a compliment or a hint. Honey, you look beautiful today. How about we leave the light on just a little? She'd smile but shake her head. No need, darling. It's fine this way. We're old now anyway. What difference does it make? And I'd let it go, because honestly, what difference did it make? I loved that woman. I loved her as she was, quirks, fears, and all. If she didn't want to show me her body, that was her business. What mattered was that she was with me, that she cared for the family, that she loved me. At least, that's what I tried to convince myself. But some days, it hurt. It hurt to see her hide from me like I was a stranger. It hurt to walk into the bathroom after her and feel the steam from the shower, imagining her in there alone, washing a body I'd never seen. It hurt to lie next to her every night and know there was a part of her I'd never know. It was as if she didn't fully trust me, like she was keeping a piece of herself just for her. Once, when we'd been married for many years and the kids were grown, I tried to have a serious talk about it. We were sitting on the porch on one of those beautiful Texas evenings, the sun setting and the birds singing. I took her hand and said, Linda, we need to talk about this, about you not letting me see you. It's not normal, honey. Couples who love each other don't hide things. She stiffened immediately. She pulled her hand away and crossed her arms. Raymond, we've talked about this 1,000 times. It's just how I am. Don't you accept me for who I am? I told her I did, of course I did, but I couldn't understand why, after 3 kids and a whole life together, she was still ashamed of me. She started to cry. It's not shame of you, it's shame of myself, of my body. I had 3 kids, Raymond. My body isn't the same. I have stretch marks, things are sagging. It's everything bad you can imagine. I don't want you to see me like this. I want you to remember me as I was when we met. I tried to argue. I told her a mother's body is beautiful, that I didn't care about stretch marks or any of that, that I just wanted her. But she wouldn't listen. She got up, went inside, and was cold toward me for 2 days. I learned not to bring it up again. The grandkids kept coming, for in total. The house was full on weekends with the sound of kids running, playing, and asking Grandma for cookies. Linda was a doting grandmother, the kind who'd do anything for those kids. She made cornbread, peach cobbler, those sugar cookies they loved. Her kitchen always smelled of good things, of love turned into food. But even with the grandkids around, her routine never changed. Bathroom door locked. Changing clothes in the bedroom with the door bolted. Never, under any circumstances, did anyone see her without her being fully dressed. The grandkids sometimes wondered why. Grandma, why don't you get in the pool with us? She'd make excuses. Grandma's tired, sweetie. Grandma doesn't like the water. I'll stay here and make snacks for you all. Once, my youngest daughter-in-law mentioned it to me. Pop, don't you think Linda is overdoing it? In this heat, wearing long sleeves, she's going to make herself sick. I gave a hollow laugh and said it was just her habit, that she'd always been that way. But inside, I knew she was right. It wasn't normal. It never was. The excuses changed over time. First it was young girl's shyness, then it was a mother's body, now it was an old woman's body. Raymond, I'm old, I'm wrinkled, I'm ugly. You don't want to see that, believe me. And I always fell for it, always believed her, always respected it, until something different started happening. Linda started forgetting things. At first, it was small stuff. She'd forget where she put her keys. She'd forget if she'd turned off the stove. She'd forget the name of the youngest grandkid. We laughed it off, thinking it was just old age. But it got worse. She forgot appointments, forgot conversations we'd had the day before. Once, she made dinner twice in the same day because she forgot she'd already cooked. The boys got worried. Dad, Mom's not right. You need to take her to the doctor. I took her. The doctor ran some tests, asked those usual questions. What day is it? Who's the president? What's 2 plus 2? Linda got some right, missed others. The doctor pulled me aside and spoke quietly. Mr. Miller, the signs point to Alzheimer's. It's early stages, but it's Alzheimer's. My world collapsed. Alzheimer's, the disease that steals memory, that steals the person you love and turns them into a stranger. No, doctor, I said. There has to be another way. Medicine, treatment, something. He said there was stuff to slow it down, but I needed to prepare myself. He said over time she'd need help with everything. And that's exactly what happened. Slowly, but surely. Linda started needing help with simple things. Forgetting to take her meds, forgetting to eat, forgetting to change her clothes. I started caring for her, reminding her, helping her, but always respecting her privacy, always knocking on the bathroom door, always waiting for her to dress herself. Until the day she tried to shower and forgot how to turn on the water. She just stayed in there. I could hear her touching things, trying, but failing. I knocked and asked if she needed help. She said no, she could do it, but she couldn't. She stayed in there for over an hour before giving up and coming out without having showered. I realized then that the moment was coming, the moment when she wouldn't be able to keep the secret anymore. Whether she wanted to or not, I was going to have to help her, go into the bathroom with her, bathe her, change her. And then I would find out. I'd find out what she'd hidden from me for a lifetime. But I wasn't prepared for what I was going to see. I wasn't prepared for the truth hidden under those clothes. A truth so painful it would make me weep like I hadn't since I was a boy. Thank you for listening to my story all the way through. If it resonated with you, give it a like, comment on what touched you the most, and be sure to mention where you're from. Subscribe to the channel, there are plenty more stories to come.